how Nyisha got shredded. This one's for the ladies.
You know, anyone can use those tips, right? It's not just for the ladies. Idiot.
Oh, is it? Gabriel, cue the intro. What's going on, Super Saiyans? Gabriel Say, aka The Truth, back with another Teach Me Tuesday. That's what's up. Just before we get started, if you like this video helps you out in any way, shape or form, or just for the sake of it because you like the content that I bring, give this video a thumbs up. Really helps me out. But yeah, today we're going to be discussing Nyisha's diet. So Nyisha, for the second time in a row since having Elijah, she came back and she won the PCA Super Series twice. If I look at this prep compared to all other preps, including like my preps and stuff and the experiences I've had, this was very stripped back. I was curious. to see whether a lot of the stuff was gimmicks. I'm gonna explain from top to bottom, so like I'm gonna explain everything. Setting up her macros, her meal plan, what I changed, peak week, the whole nine. So first of all, let's start with how I set up her macros, why I chose a certain macronutrients, and the split and everything. So what I've been doing recently with a lot of clients and for quite a while, this is the one thing that's probably stayed the same, is I start from maintenance calories for your weight at that time. So especially if you're like super overweight, then I'll normally come down in a slight deficit. But if you're slightly athletic build and you're training for a show or whatever, I normally start at maintenance calories. But most people don't track for the whole year. Like, not many people track like every single meal for like years and years and years and years. Most people just kind of like eat how they want to. And the maintenance calories for your weight at that time means that we've got a solid starting point, but I'm putting you to work. Like there's no holds barred. You're putting those calories that are going in to work. Second reason is, it means that as we drop your calories, which we'll get into a bit later on in this video, as we drop your calories, it's not gonna be a major drastic 1100, 800 calories as it starts to dip towards the show. You start high, put the work in, and then come down with slow increments. The first thing I wanted to get rid of was the whole 1.5, 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight and all that. I was just like, wow, protein's not cheap. Like to buy chicken breast, to buy beef and all that kind of stuff, it's not cheap. If you can reduce the cost there, for one, then you're winning. You're most likely gonna want to diet down for certain things. But if you're spending all of your money on protein, it's nonsense. I've tried it myself. I've tried it with a few other clients, but I'm gonna put the proof into someone competing. So we went at 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It was about 29 or 30% of the calories from fats, and then the rest is from carbs. So she was on 2,100 calories. And this is the bit that most people obsess over. This whole macro counting and all that kind of stuff, this is just the beginning. It's just a baseline. The mindset that you need moving forward into a cut or prep, especially for a show, is way more important than your starting macros. So what I always try to do with every client that I have, when it comes to contest prep, or if I'm just coaching through macros, you need to have varied sources of everything. Carbohydrates, protein, vegetables, the whole lot, because everything has its different profiles. The profile for beef will be different to chicken. The profile for chicken will be different to fish. You want the amino acid profiles from all of these different places. You've got the iron levels in the beef and all that kind of stuff. So you want a good balance of everything. So we'd have chicken, beef, fish, which she wasn't really a fan of, oats, eggs, potatoes, which she wasn't really a fan of, rice, and that type of stuff. So it was very broad. It's not a thing of this is really good food and this is the healthiest food that I can find. It's easiest to track. 10% beef, hardly any fat in chicken, there's virtually no fat in fish. They're easy to track. Just be consistent with and make minor adjustments without having to change a whole food group. So let's look at the meal breakdown. So in the morning, I'm just gonna reel off like her meal plan, and then we'll get into the changes. So she would start in the morning with a banana and a whey isolate shake, and that was before she went to the gym. Then when she got back from the gym, it was 4 egg whites, 40 grams of oats, and 15 grams of honey. Then for her next meal, it was 100 grams of 12% beef, mixed frozen vegetables, teaspoon of rapeseed oil, basmati rice, or potato. Either or. Then the next meal was chicken breast with vegetables again, 5 ml of oil again, and then the option of rice or potatoes. Then for the next meal, it was, and this was the final meal before bed, 12% beef mince, and also the chicken could either be chicken or fish. So let's just point that out. 100 grams cashews, rapeseed oil, and then dark chocolate rice cakes. And a little snack just to throw in during the day was a small bag of Haribo. That's her meal plan. I'm gonna put it on the screen. You can see it in its entirety. And supplements, you're probably thinking supplements, oh, you probably had to take like all kinds of stuff. Kept it simple again. So we had the whey isolate shake, which was, for the morning or whatever. And that was mainly because we just needed something quick for that time in the morning, because she'd wake up, Elijah's normally up at 6. Nyisha's in the gym by 6:30. We just needed something, bang, to just get in, get some quick energy, and to go train. Apart from that, multivitamin, fish oil, that was pretty much it. As it got deeper into the prep, we started introducing coffee as a pick-me-up. She's not a big fan of pre-workouts. That was it. It was kept very, very simple. But then look at the results. So now the base is there. Now what do you do? Like I said, the base is cool to have, but once you got the base, what the hell do you do from then? Which is probably one of the reasons why you're watching this video. So I mentioned from the beginning, we kept the calories high, we kept the work rate high, and the changes were just very small over time. No big drops of 500 calorie drop, then 300 calorie drop. It was just very, very incremental changes. And like I mentioned earlier, keeping the food group simple, and she ate the same thing every day. For the whole 12-week prep, she ate the same thing every day. But to have a really complex meal plan means that when you wanted to make this incremental change, it makes it so much harder depending on what you've chosen for your meal plan. If it's like a rice cake with all of this stuff on it, and then you have to take that out, then you're like, oh shit, I need to replace, because the fats have now dropped, and now I need to replace the fats on there and the carbs on it and the protein. It's long. Simple works. So what I did is I will see what her meal plan is doing for her at that time against the training plan that I've got. The training plan was tough, I'm not gonna lie, but that's the whole point of it. I could see that there were changes being made to her physique, to her weight, and she was getting stronger. First 3 weeks, I didn't change a thing. If it's not broke, don't fix it. There's a lot of coaches that just change stuff for the sake of changing stuff. If it's working, leave it to work. Slow and steady wins the race. And then I think the first drop, her rice was 50 grams raw weight, and I dropped that to 40 on one meal, I think. So it's just very, very small changes. See if the weight's still going, see if her shape is changing, all that kind of stuff, see if she's tightening up. Okay, cool, but it's starting to slow down a little bit, so I'll bring the carbs down a little bit more. I'll remove a little bit more rice. Now the reason why I don't touch the fats at first, because fats satiate you for longer. So when you're at the start of your prep, best to bring the carbs down a little bit, because the fats, you won't feel hungry straight away. If you drop the fats too low, you might have a lot of carbs where you'll feel hungry almost instantly. Fiber also has a part in this as well, so keeping high fiber and high fat. So you just want to be able to stay full and keep your sanity for longer. And then speaking of sanity, you probably noticed that I mentioned Haribo and chocolate rice cakes, and honey and all of this kind of stuff, and you're probably thinking, wait, well, most of the people that talk about these diets say that you need to cut that out, as well as the rice and the potatoes and all that. I'm not gonna go into it too much, because then I'm gonna start ranting, but we need sanity foods. Especially there's some people that don't really have like treats and stuff. They don't, like in their normal day-to-day life. Jason Dorica is a perfect example. When we first met, he was, he didn't really care about the like sweets and the KFC and the chocolate and all that kind of stuff. He was like, I'm pretty happy with my fish and, my vegetables and my rice and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, cool. You can't knock the person for wanting to be that way, but not everyone is like that. And this is understanding the person that you're working with. Nyisha has a sweet tooth, a really, really bad sweet tooth. So I had to put things in there, sanity foods. It wasn't a huge amount. It was like probably like 10 to 15% of her total calories and macros or whatever. Also introduced things like the sugar-free Fanta Fruit Twist, sugar-free jelly pots, and stuff like that, and popcorn, so 51 calorie popcorn, which is nothing. If it's a small amount that can keep you sane and keep you on track, I'm going to do that. Now, one thing from one of the last videos that I did, Nyisha was prepping for the last competition. But I remember saying in that video, she's gonna have the Haribo while she's training, so it gets put to work and all that kind of stuff. You will always find an article that will back your theory. So I did a bit more digging, and I was like, man, there's more studies that show that within that time frame, it's not gonna process fast enough for it to go into the bloodstream to be effective during that workout, probably like the back end of the workout. But besides that, I wanted to explore the whole meal timing thing. You know, what time you eat this, what time you eat that. If you eat carbs before bed, if you eat sugar before bed, if you eat like, she will sometimes have a Haribo like as the last thing that she has. Did it make a difference? No. I know some of you are waiting for me to say, oh yes, of course it did. It made a huge difference. P.S. You don't need to be eating flipping 8-9 meals a day. You don't need to do that. Four meals gave nice portion sizes of food. Eating more meals doesn't increase your metabolism to become this fat burning furnace extraordinaire. It's just, I'm not gonna get into that. That's for a different video. Now, if people saw the way Nyisha cooked her meals, one, you notice I kept oil in there. From an African background, Caribbean background, we use oil to cook food. We use like a fair bit of seasoning to cook food. So to then take that away, then puts you into a mind funk of this is torture. So we kept the oil in there, and we kept a lot of the seasonings in there. Chicken stock, chicken seasoning, all that kind of, and I know like I've posted a video before where I put seasoning on my food and stuff. Oh, but it's gonna make the carbs really high. You need to track everything. Here's the thing for you. How much of a difference? Like, really factor this in. Take a chicken stock cube. You use a little bit to season whatever meal you're having. Now look at the macros on the back. Now take the weight of the amount that you used and see how much of an effect it has on that whole meal. Hell, all of your macros for that day. Not much, probably about 1 or 2%. But if you keep that the same, so you use very similar seasonings all the time and you keep that consistent, if I decide I want to drop the carbs down, but the seasoning is still the same, the effect of me dropping the carbs will still have the exact same effect because relatively it's the same amount that's coming off. So if you keep it the same, and I'm gonna say consistent, because that is the key to all of this. It's not a magic formula, having a plan and sticking to it consistently. So the infamous peak week, the week where the magic happens, the week where you get untold shreds, the week that matters the most. No. Peak week is just another week. I've been one to believe in this magic that is peak week. I've been one to manipulate my salt, water, carb load, salt load, and all of this stuff that just, in hindsight, made zero sense for me. A lot of the stuff that you see and you hear is BS for us. Now, the shit probably makes sense for elite bodybuilders and, you know, the big man mountains like flipping, or, you know, the ones with like paper thin skin and all that kind of stuff, but they're on drugs. It's a different ball game. I don't understand it at all. So I'm not even gonna delve into that. You know, like when people stand on, like, they got a bar on their back doing back squats and then they stand on the dumbbells or platforms. Yeah, pointless. It just makes it look fancy for someone who doesn't really know what's going on to go, oh wow, you must be a bodybuilder. So let's start with a water load. I have done, and I've seen multiple people do, people still do it now. As a 200 pound, 90 kilo athlete, I probably cut down to about 86, 85-ish, drinking 8 liters of water. I think I did 10 liters of water at one point. 10 liters of water. So let me explain what the whole point of the water load is. You activate your natural diuretic system. You start flushing out water. So ideally you want to get the water under the skin to flush out so you look tighter. So if I've got a client or myself drinking 3 liters a day, might increase that to maybe 5. That's it. You just need an increase to get your body to go, oh shit, and then start flushing. 10 liters is pointless. Just a waste of money. It makes you spend enough time going back and forth from the toilet on just 5-6 liters. Why 10? So we increased it, and then literally the night before, didn't cut it completely. We just had a time of where we would reduce it. I think it was 6 o'clock. I said. So you want it to keep flushing, and then an immediate like bring it down, so you're not just, you know, putting more water in your body, but bring it down and then it just continues flushing. Then the day of the show, still having little sips of water. So here's one for you. If you've ever competed and you've heard people backstage, they're putting away rice cakes, they're putting away Haribo, they're putting all this kind of stuff away, and they're going, I feel flat, I'm not filling out. You're not drinking water. The things that give you full muscle bellies: water, salt, carbs. If you're just putting carbs in, which some of the carbs probably have a little bit of salt in, and no water, how is that gonna fuse for it to go to fill out the muscle bellies? Proof is right here. Nyisha messaged me because I was with bulk powders. I was staying in a hotel on the Saturday, and she was in an apartment with her family. After she said, like, I gave her the breakfast she had to eat, and she was like, my abs, there's no definition, everything's gone, and started panicking. Not gonna lie, when stuff like that happens, as a coach, you're like, oh shit. And then I was just like, because I was trying to get to the expo and stuff, so I'm like walking, you know, thinking about all this stuff, and then also panicking because of this. And I was just like, okay, so what's the one thing that she might not have done? Drink some water. Lo and behold, fine. It was just food had gone in, there's nowhere it needed to fuse to go into the muscle bellies to stay tight. And people will look at you weird. You'll be sitting there sipping your water every now and again, not guzzling obviously, you want it to keep the skin tight or whatever, but just little sips every now and again. Every half an hour, a little bit of food. I didn't complicate the food. Everyone's like, oh, you have to eat 50 grams of salmon and then 25 grams of chicken mixed with a little bit of beef. No, just said take a pot of chicken and rice or beef and rice and just have a couple spoonfuls, just to keep your digestive system going. Because have you ever not eaten for so long? Because I know some people, they go the whole day, they had the breakfast and they go the whole day without eating. The show doesn't start at like 4 o'clock and the stomach starts to grumble. Then you start feeling hungry. Then you start feeling bloated. Then you can't hold your stomach in because there's too much gas. That's because you've restricted your digestive system from food. So just have a couple of spoonfuls. And then the next most common thing that people do is the salt load. Personally, I've never done the salt load, but I've seen people do it, and it's never made sense to me. It's like playing Russian roulette. Who chooses to play Russian roulette? It doesn't make any sense. You have the option of, you know, doing it a way that you know works, or testing something else which makes probably a 1% difference that could mess up everything. I choose not to play. The only thing that we will do with salt is the week before, so the week of, on the Monday, we took the seasonings out. Still use salt, pepper, cayenne, whatever, that kind of stuff, but we took the seasonings out. Just to have more control over what's happening that specific week. And then the only other thing that changed was on the Saturday, we took the salt right down. But on the day, just to flush everything out, just to get, you know, the full system going, so you get the tight skin. But on the day of, there wasn't much complexity to what the food was having. Like I mentioned earlier, just a type of food, and then there's a little bit of salt in there as well. Eliminating the salt is not a good factor, but for that one day, I've noticed from testing, it makes a difference. Now the final thing, before I wrap up this video, is alcohol. You might have heard a lot of people talking about, you know, tons of articles where they say, you know, drink a glass of wine before it you know, strips all the water from underneath the skin and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it does to an extent. You'll sometimes, say for example, you've got fairly lean, you go out for a night out, you get drunk basically. And you wake up the next morning, you're like, whoa, fucking shredded, mate. That's because it has, you know, it's dehydrated you. Second reason why I use this, I'd probably say this is the main reason. To be tighter, yes, but the main reason is to calm you the F down. There's so many people that, especially the night before, they make sure every other night they have a good night's sleep. It comes to the competition day, they're up till like 2, 3 in the morning. Why? Go to sleep. You need to rest, especially the day of the competition. Have your meal, and like she has a cheat meal the night before. This isn't for everyone. Some people I don't give them the option of having that. But then I say have a glass of alcohol, preferably a white wine with a high percentage. I guarantee they'll be knocked out within half an hour. Then the morning of, they'll either have maybe like a gin or another glass of wine. It might, you know, keep the water out and keep you looking tight, but mainly to calm you the F down. The nerves that run on show day is ridiculous. If I can give you something that that can kill two birds with one stone, to make you just relax and to enjoy it more, I'm giving you that. Give yourself time. Nyisha dropped down from what, 59 kilos to 53, or was it 52, something like that, in 12 weeks. But some people want in 12 weeks, they want to be like overweight and then come down to competition standard within 12 weeks. That doesn't make sense. If she was weighing in at what, 64 or something like that, I would have said, okay, we need a 20-week prep, and you just chip away slowly. The more controlled you keep it and the less kind of like changes you make, one, it makes the person who you're coaching, or yourself, if you're coaching yourself, it allows you to not feel like loads of stuff is changing all the time and feel like shit all the time. It's just, you take little things away and your mind doesn't even recognize it. Think of the frog in the frying pan. You turn the heat up slowly, you find the frog's cooked. If you turn it up high, it will jump out. Same theory. But I hope you can take something away and understand, if you're gonna be going into contest prep or photo shoot prep or whatever, you have a better understanding of the mindset and the little changes that you can make and how you can do it for yourself. But that is it. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, smash the ting, yeah? Don't forget to leave a comment saying, oi Gabe, that was really helpful. Might have been for the ladies, technically, because it was Nyisha, but very good information. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Whipping excursion. I gotta pick up that person. In the trap, whipping that working. You're not a gangster, you're just an internet version. Flipping that Wurzel. You know me, got the littlest circle. Missus in the crib, you know I'm keeping that fertile. We don't take pictures, you know I'm keeping that personal.